Hi, and welcome to today's edition of the Live and Invest Overseas podcast. I'm Kat Kalashian, and I am based normally here in Paris at our Live and Invest Overseas headquarters here. Our office here, but our headquarters, which are in Panama, I have to visit at least once or twice a year and go for staff meetings and whatnot. And I just booked my tickets to go visit Panama. And with any visit to any place you know well, at least if you're anything like me, you make some lists of things you want to do, see things you want to eat before you head back home. So I've been making my list of things to eat while in Panama because Panama has a fantastic food scene. In Panama City especially, it's called the Hub of the Americas for a reason. It is a literal hub between all of the Americas, but also for people coming in from Europe and other continents as well. So it's a great crossroads for cuisine. You can get any kind of food you'd like in Panama City and outside the city too, to a lesser degree. But Brazilian, Argentinian, Greek, Mexican, Venezuelan, Colombian, Peruvian, Indian, U.S. diners, pretty much anything you can think of, you would be able to find in Panama City. So when it comes to eating out in Panama, you've got your choice of pretty much any kind of cuisine you can think of. But don't forget about the Panamanian cuisine, which is just as tempting if you know where to eat and know what to order. So, in no particular order, I'm going to run through my personal list of top 10 favorite Panamanian dishes that I'm very excited to get a taste of when I go back and visit Panama in November. So first of all, gaucho de mariscos is a seafood stew. You'll see this on most menus, especially if you're on the coast, on the beach, at, for example, the seafood market in Panama City, all the way at the far end of the Cinta Costera, right before you get to Casco Viejo, is the seafood market. So try their gaucho de mariscos, which would be a wonderful example, but try it everywhere. Compare them and see what you like and what you prefer. So this is a thick soup. Usually it's also cooked with rice, usually with yams, yuca, mixed vegetables, and mixed seafood. Sometimes you can get it with beef instead of seafood, but seafood is definitely the more popular version. It's also sometimes served in a totuma, which is a bowl created from the hollowed shell of a calabash, which grows locally. You'll see them all over once you know what they look like, and you start to recognize them. You'll see them everywhere. They're kind of spindly little trees with very few leaves or anything else on them, and just, kind of, it looks like a tree in winter almost, except you're in the tropics. And just on this kind of very plain, stark branch will be this giant kind of a green pumpkin, kind of like cantaloupe sized, but very green. And they're often taken off, cut open, hollowed out, and turned into bowls or other dishes. Also turned into lots of little handicraft things used locally. I've seen purses made out of them, toys made out of them, artwork definitely. So you'll see these things all over. And so sometimes you'll also see them used as bowls to serve your seafood stew. You can, as I say, find it in any local place. I would recommend checking out Via Argentina in El Cangrejo. There are lots of local restaurants there, and you'll find it on the menu. And there is a restaurant in Mayito, the restaurant is called Mayito, and it currently is featuring the renowned national chef Mario Castrillon. So maybe a good chance to go check out his kitchen and try his signature stew. Number 2, ceviche de mariscos. Ceviche de mariscos is a seafood ceviche, which ceviche has actually become quite popular all around the world in recent years. So you might be familiar with it, but it's a Panamanian classic. In fact, it's a Latin classic. You'll find it done differently all over Latin America and in Spain. Basically, you take the seafood, whatever it is. The most popular in Panama is corvina, which is sea bass. But you can also get it made with shrimps or octopus and other kinds of things as well. You can get a mixed one with all of them in the same one. And instead of cooking the fish, it is cooked using the acid from citrus fruits. So using limes, you would just mix the seafood with a lot of lime juice and you leave it for a certain number of hours, and the lime actually serves to cook the seafood. So it's raw fish, technically. Absolutely delicious. I highly recommend it. In, a high-end restaurant, you might get it with coconut milk or some other kind of maybe a Thai flavor, because this is also something they do in Asia. So internationally, it's becoming a bit of a fusion food. But a true Panamanian ceviche is sea bass. The best place to get it is the Mercado de Mariscos, which I already mentioned, on the end of the Cinta Costera in Panama City. You can get for just about $3, you'll get a styrofoam cup filled with your with your ceviche. Absolutely fantastic. And you can try any number of ceviches there. They'll have all of them. I highly recommend taking a little tour, doing some reviews, seeing what you like best. And you'll know that they're as fresh as they can be. You can actually watch the fishermen, or at least their boats. They're probably not going to be there midday unless you wake up at the crack of dawn. You won't actually see the fishermen, but you'll see their boats all moored up right off of the Mercado. And that is where all of the fish had come in just that morning. They were likely fished just that morning and brought to the restaurant. They get brought in every morning. So absolutely as fresh as it gets. They are also usually served with some kind of a edible serving thing. So crackers, plantain chips, sometimes tortilla chips. Sometimes you'll get something really crazy, veggie chips, as this becomes a more popular food. As I said, it's becoming more fusion. So you might see something, I don't know, a rice cracker, could be a new thing. But the typical Panamanian way is with just a fried plantain cracker or some very plain salted crackers. Oh, and just worth noting, many of the stall vendors at the Mercado de Marisco speak English nowadays, so you shouldn't have too much problem even if you're still working on your Spanish. Number 3, this is a personal favorite. Ropa vieja con arroz y coco. This is a shredded beef and coconut rice. And ropa vieja, for anybody who speaks Spanish, you'll recognize that to mean dirty clothes. It literally means dirty laundry. This is not the most attractive dish. I wouldn't say that this is going to win any awards from any food magazines for its photogenics, but it is absolutely delicious. So as I say, it's ugly. It looks like dirty laundry. It's just a bunch of brown meat on top of rice. But in Panama, it's given this really interesting blend of sweet and salty. So really, really very deep flavors, very rich flavors. The rice is usually cooked in coconut milk, which gives it a little bit, it's a little bit thicker and it gives it a little bit of a sweeter finish. Usually there's a side of patacones or maybe French fries. Patacones are deep fried green plantains, sliced, to be in rounds and discs usually. So that usually also is what comes with pretty much anything you'd order in Panama. So get used to patacones. I personally don't like patacones. My husband always eats them for me and he's very happy to do so. Personally though, they're a little bit too thick for me. They're very thick, much thicker much denser than a tomato. Think more like a yuca, or even thicker really. Yuca you can kind of bite into. Patacones are pretty dense. But as I say, found on the side of anything, they can actually be served sweet or salty as well. So when they're served on the side of a dish, they'll be served with salt, but you can also get them as a dessert. Ropa vieja you'll find in any local Panamanian place, any kind of little fonda on the side of the road even. It is the classic dish that's easy to prepare and cheap to prepare, so it's served pretty much everywhere. And again, as with all of these dishes, everybody is going to have their own little take on it, their own little twist. So try out the ropa vieja wherever you go and find your favorite. Number 4, sancocho. This is chicken soup, basically. It's a chicken broth mixed with yams, cilantro, vegetables, and a variety of spices, of course with chicken. It is always served with rice on the side. So this is the big difference between sancocho and the seafood stew, which I mentioned first, the gaucho de mariscos, where the gaucho is actually cooked with the rice in the soup. Sancocho is never cooked with rice, always the rice on the side. And the way Panamanians usually eat it is to take a spoonful of rice and take a spoonful of soup and then eat them in. Some people dump the whole thing of rice in. I've seen it done both ways, but most often I feel like I see people taking just one spoon at a time. Maybe it's because you couldn't, the bowl might overflow if you added all the rice at once. I don't know. So up to you. Dealer's choice on how you eat your stew, your rice with your soup. And again, this is going to be found absolutely everywhere. The funniest thing to me is that it is served kind of like popsicles would be served out of a push cart vendor on the Cinta Costera, especially during carnival season, for example. It's 100 degrees in Panama, 90% humidity almost every day, and yet this soup is drunk trunk on the side of the beach. You know, you'll have it absolutely anywhere, no matter the temperature. The Panamanians swear that it's a cure-all and also the best hangover cure. So definitely give that a try. But that's actually why it's served so much during Carnival, so that people can have their hangover remedy as they're gearing up for the next party. Also sometimes known as sancocho de patio, or yard stew. And it is definitely the most traditional meal in Panama. Again, every country, every store, every household is going to have its own twist on sancocho. But it's almost always the same idea. It's the Panamanian style chicken soup. Everyone eats sancocho, from the working class to the elite, where there is a kitchen. There's almost sure to be a pot simmering with some sancocho on it. It's served at every restaurant, on every street corner. I would say even the most high end and the most low end, you're going to find a sancocho on the menu. Number 5, bien me sabe, literally means tastes good to me. This is a very funny kind of dessert. It's actually Spanish Romani in origin, but it has gained huge popularity in Panama. It's a kind of a pudding, or kind of a condensed milk treat with ground almonds, egg yolks, honey, milk, and rice. It's, again, one of those things that doesn't look very appetizing. It's not going to win any photo competitions, but it is delicious, and it's sold in most of the tiendas de dulces, the sweet shops all over. So definitely give it a try and let us know what you think. Number 6, arroz con guandú y pollo guisado. This is a rice and beans with stewed chicken. So basically chicken, rice, and beans. Probably the most popular meal, if not the most traditional. And though rice and beans with chicken may sound pretty pedestrian, there is a complexity to this recipe. And this is probably my second favorite dish after ropa vieja. And really, it's the arroz con guandú that really makes it, especially for me. The guandú rice has little peas in it. They're not peas. They don't taste like peas like you would taste them at home, but they have little peas, for lack of a better word, guandú, in them. And they have their own unique flavor, and they just liven up the dish. I don't know why I like it so much. It's delicious. Again, it has a kind of a nuance to the flavor, and it's very hearty. It is eaten at midday by anyone from, again, the humblest to the wealthiest of households. And here's a little tip. Many people serve it with small fried yellow plantains. This is a nice way to add a little bit of sweetness. So that's a little insider tip from Panamanian friends. Number 7, pargo frito, is fried red snapper. And so this is a perfect accompaniment to any of the ceviche or other seafood items that you might see in Panama. You'll find it, again, on the Cinta Costera and the Mercado de Mariscos. You'll find it in almost any restaurant, even if it's not a Panamanian restaurant. This is a very popular fish and a popular way of cooking the fish. So it's served in many places, but the best place you're going to have it is probably the cheapest place you'll find it, which is just sitting at a beach cafe. And when I say beach cafe, I mean a picnic table on the beach with a grill next to it. These little cafes, I'll call them fondas, really. They're like little food stands that are set up on the beaches, from, the very developed beaches along the Pacific coast to the absolutely no one there beaches on the Caribbean coast. You'll find some guy with a grill who's either doing it just for himself to sell it, or as his little restaurants, or just for his family. So almost always you're going to easily find fried pargo frito. And the best way you'll eat it is just eating it right off the beach with a squeeze of lime, usually lime, sometimes lemon, sometimes tomato, but usually it's lime. And if you're a beach person, this is definitely the freshest fish you're going to eat, and it's the simplest way of cooking a fish. If you're not really into seafood, though, it might throw you for a bit of a loop. If you're a little squeamish, this is the kind of fish that is just served whole with an eye staring back up at you. It is put into the frying pan whole or on the grill whole. And it is not for the faint of heart if you have that little bit of squeamishness. I've gotten used to it over so many years of living in Latin America. I don't even blink anymore at being served a fish with an eye in it. But I was recently vacationing with some friends who I guess aren't as used to eating seafood, and they were very thrown off every time we got a piece of seafood served to us that still had a head or eyes looking at them. So if you're a little bit more of a beachy person and a seafood person, it might not seem so strange to you. If you're from the middle of the country, or you haven't spent a lot of time eating seafood or on the coasts, this might seem shocking. So give it a try. Let us know what you think. No, you don't have to eat that. So usually parugo frito is served with the traditional patacones or with papas fritas, which are French fries, and usually also some sauces. The citrus flavor is really what's key for me. But as I said, if you're squeamish, that's one concern. The other concern is if you're a fast eater, to make sure to take your time, because no bones have been taken out of this fish. You will battle with every little bone in that fish's body, and sometimes they can put up quite a fight. So eat carefully, eat slowly, watch out for those little bones. And definitely the best place to get it is at the beach. And doesn't have to be a restaurant. As I say, it could just be a guy grilling it for his family. That'll be the best way to get it. Number 8, carameñolas are fried dough with meat inside, and these are a staple throughout Latin America. They have, won the hearts of locals and foreigners alike. They are available pretty much everywhere. You'll often find them with a bit of a twist, maybe with some boiled egg chopped up in there, or some olive or corn. And it is corn dough that they're made out of. So there are some versions of carameñolas, but generally it just means with meat inside. Yuca pastry, in fact, is the more common. I said corn, but it's actually yuca pastry. And they're small. They're, little tiny mouth-sized pieces, and it's impossible to eat only one. I dare you to. Panamanians tend to eat them for breakfast or as an appetizer, and they're sold for about $2 a plate. So great value there. Number 9, tamal de olla, a pot tamal. The recipe varies from country to country in Latin America, as they all do. Panama's is triangular and uses a mix of sweet and salty notes, and this is a really unique taste. Usually beef, chicken, pork, peppers, capers, and olives are all used, and it's cooked wrapped in a bijao, banana, or a plantain leaf, boiled in a water-filled pan, and these are usually a Christmas time snack. So these aren't made generally year-round. They are usually found at Christmas, and they're definitely something that you would find on the Christmas dinner table. Number 10, the no me olvides, which is a great one to end this list on, because it means don't forget me. So don't forget this list. Don't forget these delicious foods. In particular, don't forget this delicious dessert. It is massive ice cream. I guess it's kind of a sundae. Massive ice cream in a cup with a biscuit layer, vanilla ice cream, chantilly whipped cream, and it's called Grandma's Secret Recipe sauce. So we don't know what's in that necessarily, but whatever it is, it's delicious. This is La Inmaculada's restaurant's best kept secret. La Inmaculada is one of the top Panamanian restaurants in Panama City. I highly recommend a visit there. And it's a kind of a 50s style Panamanian chain diner. So a really fun place to go. And this ice cream sundae is the best way to top off your meal and the best way to top off this list. I can't wait to get back to Panama and try out all of these yummy foods. Again, it's been too long since I've had some really good versions of carameñolas. So what are your favorite Panamanian foods? Do you have more to add to our list? Which of these have you tried? Have you not tried? Do you like? Do you dislike? Let us know. Drop us a comment in the section below. And don't forget to subscribe, and we'll send you a new one of these videos every Saturday. Thanks. Happy trails.